Welcome to Lesson 2 in Discovering, Rediscovering, or Redefining Your Core Values. So I know you did quite a bit of doing in lesson number 1. You answered those 10 questions, and some of them took quite a bit of time, or maybe felt uncomfortable, or you just had to dive deep. And I told you that was a good thing, right? That was going to bring you the results that you wanted in the end. So we're going to be using these answers throughout the next lesson. So keep them close to you, especially today as we look at them and try to find some patterns in your answers, some words that keep popping up, or themes or big ideas. So let's get doing. Grab those answers. And before we get started, just a couple things to remind you about values that I think will help you understand it a little bit more deeply. In our last lesson, we focused on beliefs, some false beliefs and some mindset differences. And we're really setting the stage for values here. So if you think back to our lesson on mindset or beliefs, we talked about a fixed versus a growth mindset, and how that fixed mindset really believes we are who we are. There's not much we can do to change it, versus a growth mindset that believes that hard work and time and energy and effort can be put into things and we can find the success that we want. So I want you to think about how the values of those two different mindsets would be different, right? The growth mindset is going to value hard work and effort, where the fixed mindset probably won't. Well, look how that changes their behavior and what's important to them in their life. So keep that in mind, that people's beliefs, and we have these false beliefs that we don't even realize sometimes, and these mindsets that we don't even realize how that does affect other parts of our life. The second thing is that values do change. As your life changes, new experiences, new jobs, new relationships, all sorts of things, that your values will change. And you might be reflecting on question number 3, where you had to look back on how you grew up and the values of specific people in your life or groups of people. And you might think to yourself, well, I think I still have some of those same values. Well, you may. But what I do want you to remember is that you may have to redefine them, because they're not going to look necessarily the same today, because your life is just very different, right? Look at number 3, how those values are very tied to your current goals and what you want in your professional life, family life, and personal life. So they may just look a little bit different. So what are we going to be doing here today? So I've got 3 little areas that I'm going to have you focus on. Now, here's what I want you to keep in mind. You may not have to do all 3. The first one I found value in, but you might be able to go right to number 3. So let me explain each step here and you can decide where to start. I took my answers and I started looking for, like I said, themes, big ideas that kept coming up, phrases. And so I just started writing things down. I would read through my answers, and if I saw patterns like, wow, I've said that a couple times, I'm going to write that down. I mentioned the word family quite a bit, so I wrote family down. Now look at number 2, health. I didn't necessarily use the word health, but I maybe used exercise, or maybe I used some type of, for grocery shopping, how I grocery shopped, or the things we ate, or what I wanted to instill in my children. And I kind of used one word then for it, health. So understand, it doesn't have to be the exact words you use. You could write them down if that's what you want. You might just plop them all into one big idea. Okay? So that's for number 1. That's where I felt it was good to start. You don't have to. Then in number 2, I wanted to write this down just in case for some people. Now in numbers 9 and 10 that you answered yesterday, those focused on 5 words that you would really want others to use when they described you, and then also the lessons or the things that you wanted to instill into your children, or maybe people that you mentor or the people that you work with, those life lessons, how you lived out your values. Well, maybe some of those are goals that you have for yourself, and you really aren't finding that you're living out those values today. So they didn't show up in maybe the first few questions. So you might be thinking, well, it's not really a theme. It's only really in 9 and 10. Put them down though, because those are the things you want, right? We need to keep them in mind. So if you didn't see an overlap, still write those words down, even though they maybe didn't show up a whole lot, okay? keep that in mind. So you may have to do that step and you may not. Here's the third one. So then I would categorize your words. And I think this is going to be really helpful because all of a sudden you're going to have all of these words and you're going to be thinking to yourself, okay, how are these values and how am I going to think about it? I think if you categorize them in these ways, this might help. So if I see, wow, family pops up a lot. I value people. Here's where I'm valuing people. This is maybe there's relationships in general. Depending on your line of work, customers. You may find that things that you possess show up, or outcomes. Like if you notice success, well, that's an outcome. I want success. I want growth. I want to have joy in my life. I want to have fun. Now, I put those under outcomes. Behaviors. Well, what are things that I need to do what are my behaviors that I value? I value teaching. I value planning, creating. And then traits. I want people to describe me as this, or these are the things that I seem to look for in others, or these are like in number 7, these are the things that seem to just drive me crazy about this person because they don't have this trait. Remember, that means that it's important to me. I find that this person doesn't have trustworthiness, and that just irritates me, so I must value trustworthiness in looking at it that way. Now, here's the thing with this. I categorized my words in how I saw them. You might be like, why did you put that there? I would never put that word there. Well, first of all, a lot of these aren't my words, but I just wanted to put a bunch of them in there just so you kind of have an idea. And second of all, I think some of them could fall into different categories depending on how you thought about them. So I think that's good though, because this is going to allow you to think and really pay attention to the word. And I think that's going to help you decide if it really is something that's important to you. So I think there is a lot of value in this particular activity. So I would spend some time on it and really just do it how you see it. Do not follow what I did because that's maybe not what works for you. I'm just kind of giving you an idea here. I did put an other in case you're not sure, because there might be some that you're not sure about, and that's okay, but we still want them on there. All right, well, happy doing in lesson 2. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Please make sure if you're having questions or want me to explain something better, you can leave it in the comments, or you can post something and ask the question in our group. Do not feel afraid to do that at any time. I'm here to answer questions. And I will let you know more on Saturday about next week, because I'm going to have a live session where I can answer questions a little bit easier while we're doing the doing. All right, have a great day, and we'll see you back here soon.